Assignment. Section 1. First question. Analyze the constitutional environment of public systems in India. So, modern constitutions are very elaborate documents which go much beyond the description of the three branches of government, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Public systems functions under the constitutional framework and derive power from it, but it has been observed that the legal and constitutional framework under which the public systems of a country function does not give a total picture of actual reality of the functions of these systems. However, it is important to have an adequate understanding of the main constitutional provisions relating to operations of public systems and also provisions pertaining to various authorities and commissions provided for in the constitution that strive to achieve constitutional goals and objectives. The constitutional principles, institutions, and bodies determine and vitally influence the environment of public systems management. Governance in its political sense means the exercise of legal power and authority vested in the institutions and bodies of the constitution to carry out the avowed goals and purposes of the state. The system of governance in India is in accordance with some of the basic objectives having been laid down by the planners in the light of the constitution of the country. In the context of these objectives, public systems have to be managed. The main thrust of these systems have been on self-reliance, economic growth, industrialization, modernization, and social justice. The Indian Constitution is not merely a document dealing with responsibilities and powers of the Union and the states. It lays down the basic philosophy of governance and provides a kind of direction to administer the country. The following features of the Indian Constitution broadly determine the environment in which public systems are to perform the activities. Preamble, parliamentary democracy, federation with a strong center, fundamental rights and duties, directive principles of the state policy, independent judiciary, judicial review. Preamble. The preamble is an introductory statement regarding the overarching philosophy of constitutional governance. It specifies the source of authority, the system of government, the objectives to be attained by the political and administrative systems, and the date of the adoption and enactment of the constitution. It declares India as a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. It contains lofty ideals serving as the beacon and the pole star for guiding the nation's governance. In the Keshav Nanda Bharti case, the Supreme Court declared the preamble as part of the constitution. Parliamentary democracy. The Indian model of political system is a creative representative of the values of modern liberal democracy. The most significant development in India's constitutional history is the consolidation of the parliamentary form of government, which broadly corresponds with the Westminster model. In this system of government, the executive is an integral part of parliament and responsible to it. Federation with strong center. The constitution describes India as a union of states. However, the system of government is federal. Although the word federation is nowhere used in the constitution, all the basic structural features of a federal government are incorporated in the constitution. The nature of federalism in a country is based on the requirements of that country. The conditions in which the federal system evolved in India has stated a strong center. The Indian federal system may be described as a new experiment in the area of federalism for ensuring national unity and growth at one end of the regional autonomy at the other. Fundamental rights and duties. Fundamental duties are incorporated under Part 3 and Part 4 of the Constitutional Responsibility. The former was included originally from the inception of the Constitution, while the later fundamental duties have been included as a part of the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. Fundamental duties are non-justiciable. Part 3rd of the Constitution relating to the fundamental rights contains 24 articles, that is from Article 12 to Article 35 of the Constitution. These rights can be classified into six groups: right to equality, right to particular freedoms, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to constitutional remedies. The above rights, however, are not absolute. The state can impose reasonable restrictions on these rights. During national emergencies, enforcement of these rights can be suspended. Directive principles of state policy, Part 4th of the Constitution contains various articles 36 to 51 related to directive principles of state policy. The articles indicates the responsibilities of state in promoting the rights and benefits of the individuals and also in translating the basic values of the constitution in real life. To illustrate some of the directive principles interest the state to promote the welfare of the people and secure a just social order, ensure equal justice and free legal aid to the poor, take steps to organize village panchayats and to endow them with such powers as may be necessary to enable them to function as units of self governments, make efforts to secure a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India, etc. The above directives are in nature of the directions to the legislature and executive wings of the government to be observed while formulating laws and policies. Most of them aim at establishment of economic and social democracy, which is pledged for in the preamble. The directive principles are not enforceable by courts; they are moral precepts, and the courts are increasingly taking these principles into consideration while interpreting the constitution. Independent judiciary. India has a single integrated system of courts for both union and states. At the apex of the entire system is the Supreme Court of India. Below the Supreme Court are the high courts and the subordinate courts. The President of India appoints the judges of the Supreme Court and the high courts. But in order to ensure their independence, the terms and conditions of their service are regulated by the Constitution. Judicial review. Judicial review implies the powers possessed by the courts to pronounce upon the constitutional validity of the act of public authorities, both executive and legislative. The expression judicial review does not figure in the constitution, but has been derived by the judiciary through various provisions. In India, judiciary has the power to interpret the constitution and determine the relationship of the different organs of the constitution. Other important features of the constitution include single citizenship, bicameral legislature, special provisions for minorities, scheduled caste and tribes, elaborate provisions for dealing with the emergencies, conditions arising due to the unforeseen exigencies are also incorporated. Constitutional status is also accorded to certain commissions like the Public Service Commissions and the Election Commission. The Indian Constitution has been amended nearly 80 times in 50 years. In the post-independence period, though many amendments to the Constitution were made, these did not change its basic structure or its ideological characteristics. In the present collision era of Indian democracy, amendment to the Constitution has become a very complex and difficult exercise. Next question is, there are different social factors that affect the organization and working environment of public system. Social factors that affect the organization. So here we are talking about the social factors. The entire gamut of the society interacts with the public systems, which in turn impact on the society. The culture of the society is a historically evolved way of collective living, embracing all aspects of social life, rites and rituals, habits and attitudes, art and architecture, and more importantly, a set of durable social values and norms that structure and influence the style and subtle nuances of collective living. A country's political life, constitutional laws, and administrative rules and regulations and relations are greatly influenced by its societal traditions, culture, and values. Obviously, therefore, societal social cultures plays an important role in the sound management or otherwise of any public system. In the Indian situation, public systems management needs thus to be related to India's societal context with special reference to the roles of religion, caste and women, family, and rural urban interface. Religion. India is a country of continental dimensions. It has multi-ethnic society. It believes in the principle of unity in diversity, equal respect for all religion in a positive aspect of Indian society. But the emergence of communal parties and organization has often contributed to mounting tensions disturbing the peace and tranquility of the nation. Occasions eruptions of communal disharmony test the strength of the public systems in maintaining law and order and social harmony among the religious groups. A great amount of administrative energy is spent to check undesirable communal activities in some parts of the country. Caste. India has historically evolved as a pluralistic society, vertically clustered into myriad castes and subcastes. Caste system is the most important features of Indian social life. Caste regulates the social behavior of the people It has been a dominant factor in Indian society from centuries. After independence, this factor has assumed an important political role in many states. It has permeated policies and elections, formation of political parties, and even public appointments and general administrative affairs. India is committed to economic and social development of the disadvantaged section of the society. As a result, a policy of positive discrimination is enshrined in the Constitution. The Constitution has provided special protection to scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. These reservations, which are constitutionally provided for the initial period of 10 years, get routinely extended. New groups of people are brought under the reservation umbrella, and the percentage is also getting raised. Caste consciousness and caste mobilization have been on the increase under democracy since the 1980s. The managers of the public systems are exposed to forces drawing sustenance from caste and community, religion, language, etc. Indian society still remains feudal, and the majority of employees of the public systems come from this feudal background. The most recent studies of caste look at it as a dynamic force, though weakened over the last 5 decades of developmental experience in certain respects, has grown stronger in some others. The forms of its manifestation have indeed changed. Today, caste is talked about not so much as an aspect of socio-cultural life as in terms of the politico-administrative context. Language. India is characterized by linguistic diversity. It is varied with over 1,600 languages and dialects. Three-fourths of the population in India speak languages which descend from Sanskrit. These include Assamese, Bengali, Gujarati, Hindi, Kashmiri, Marathi, Oriya, Punjabi, Sindhi, and Urdu. All these languages enjoy official status. Nearly one-fourth of the Indians speak languages belonging to the Dravidian family, which comprise Kannada, Malayalam, Tamil, and Telugu. According to statistics, there are additional languages grouped in several clusters that account for less than 5% of the population. The eighth, the eighth schedule of the Indian Constitution, Article 344(1) and 351, provide for 22 languages. Linguistically, diversity in India has far-reaching political repercussions in formation of the different states and emergence of regional political parties. Joint family system. In all societies, family is the basic unit. Joint family system was considered to be one of the three pillars of the Indian social structure. The other two pillars being caste and self-sufficient village community. In this system, the head of the family is usually the father or the eldest male member. Every member of the family is expected to obey the head of the family. Every one of the joint family members is subordinate to the larger interest of the family group. Each one is expected to maintain the tradition and honor of the family. When ideas of individualism began to affect Indian society, the joint family system was criticized as it tended to deprive the individual of his or her liberty. The characteristics of the joint family system in the social life have an impact on the public systems also. As a member of joint family, the interest of joint family rather than the interests of organization may at the time guides the actions of public systems employees. The membership of caste group and social obligations to his her own kith and kin may affect the objective functioning of the manager. These primordial loyalties pose a challenge to the impartial working of the public systems. At the same time, the culture of sharing and caring, so common in a joint family system, does have a beneficial effect on the collective functioning of an organization. Women. Women have always been highly respected in the social and economic activities of the society. Generally, their position in family has been determined by their marital status. All of them are dependent on the head of the family, the father-in-law, and the husband and the son. Women at present are demanding their emancipation and agitating for more opportunities for independent functioning. The government has passed laws prohibiting social evils such as child marriage, sati, and dowry. But in practice, the law has not been properly implemented in most of the cases. It is the responsibility of the state to provide economic independence to women by providing equal opportunities in public employment. The percentage of women employment is not at all in proportion to their population. A number of women's organizations are working for the liberalization of the women to realize their role in the society and the productive process. However, their efforts are not producing the results expected. Therefore, the state and its administration have to play a key role to create conducive environment towards the all-round development of women. Many development schemes have been formulated to improve the economic condition of women, and there is a conscious attempt on increasing the share of women in public appointments. In the recent past, there has been an improvement in the status of women in governance, and they are occupying various key positions in the management of public systems. The capabilities, inherent latent talents, and capacities of women are contributing much to improve the efficiency of public systems. The empowerment of women is assuming increasing significance, about which we shall be discussing. uh, Growing violence. Growing violence has affected social environment as well as the activities of public systems. This growing violence includes not only intercommunal, intercaste, interlanguage conflicts, but it has taken other forms of, for example, demand for separate states, violence in industrial strikes, terrorist activities, etc. These undesirable happenings offer critical challenges to the working of the public systems. In this context, public systems have to act as instruments of social change. The root causes of social violence need to be carefully studied and appropriate steps taken to meet them. Another important point to be noted in our system of governance is an increasing trend towards citizen alienation. Active participation of citizens and attending to their complaints and grievances are yet to gain significance in our public systems management. Human aspect is still a missing attribute in the management of our public systems. Rural urban interface in India, not only the rural urban distinction but also rural urban dualism persists. There are sharp regional variations in the levels of socio-economic development. The importance of purposeful relationships between the rural hinterland and the urban areas need hardly any emphasis. The Rural Urban Relationship Committee 1966 quoted that it must be realized that the human being is basically and ultimately at the center of the stage, and any parceling out of human groups on the basis of their place of occupation would be improper. The action, reaction, and the interaction of the rural and urban communities can be identified at the social, economic, and administrative levels. The impact of technology and in tremendous advances in communication has made the distance between the rural and urban areas very narrower. The contacts between the town and the village are on the increase. It is necessary now to weave together and integrate the development of both urban and rural areas. Poverty, large scale unemployment, massive population growth, rampant corruption, and wastage of public funds are other social problems that have been adversely affecting our public systems. India today possesses about 2.4% of the total land areas, but has to support about 16.85% of the world population. India's population, according to the census of 2001, provisional was 102.70 crore. Economic development has made great strides, no doubt. At the same time, however, the country faces even now glaring disparity between the rich and the poor. The poor are four-fifths of the population. The top 20 percentage of the population take nearly half of the gross national product, whereas the bottom 20% is left with only 7%. Women empowerment and gender justice remain distinct goals in the society. There are many disconcerting features also causing concern for public systems management in the country, important among which are deteriorating law and order situation in many parts of the country, criminalization of the politics, politicization of the administrative machinery, and occasional financial scams and scandals. Concern has been expressed in different quarters about falling standards, norms, and values, and a general leadership crisis. The distortions of the Indian socio-economic systems have given rise to the social and political movements, insurgency, ethnic upsurge, and agrarian social conflicts, and the problem of law and order. Despite the policy of reservation, the socio-economic status of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes has not improved appreciably. All these social conditions have been impinging on the working of the public systems and pressurizing them for the changed roles in tune with new demands and aspiration rising from the socio-economic environment. The approach paper of India's 10th five-year plan emphasizes that the economic prosperity, measured in terms of per capita GDP, does not always ensure enrichment in quality of life, as reflected, for instance, in the social indicators on health, longevity, literacy, and environmental sustainability, etc. Development has to give due regard to equity and social justice. The role of government is now largely becoming that of the facilitator and regular development. The government has now realized the need to release latent energies and stimulate private initiatives in various facets of our development process. Now, development has to be the collective effort of individuals, NGOs, private sector, and the public sector. In this changing scenario, public system seems to evolve a collaborative environment for achieving developmental goals. They have to play a major developmental role in the social sector like health care, education, and upliftment of the disadvantaged sections of people. They have to work not only towards productivity and growth, but also for social justice and equity. Public systems management needs to adopt a public-private participatory approach for successful achievement of developmental results. Public systems have to work towards bringing about a perceptible change in economic development, distributive justice, and social equity. Next is write a note on various models of governance. Various models of governance. Let's find up. We'll start later.